What do you want to be when you're older?
A footballer.
How would you describe female athletes?
Strong, talented, fierce.
How are you mainly described as a female athlete?
Boring, useless, waste of space.
Weak, slow, and not good enough.
An experience that I really remember is 2 years ago, at this pitch actually, is the 2022 Nike Cup semi-final. It was my starting debut. I was really, really excited, really, really nervous, and I remember I was playing really well, and then I hear one of the supporters behind the goals saying, "Oh, Blondie, if you score, you're going to come home with me." It made me realise that if they think you're a good player, you're just sexualised, and if they think that you're a bad player, you're told that women shouldn't be playing sports.
How I would explain everyday sexism in sport is the ways in which women are treated in sport, the way they're valued, the way they're accounted for in sport, which is very much taken for granted. So one example of this is we've just seen in the Olympics, the different types of uniforms that women are required to wear that can overly sexualise their bodies, and we're not really questioning that. And then when we compare the sports the men play, so beach volleyball, gymnastics, for example, their uniforms are much different. So this is a taken for granted way in which we position women and their bodies in sport. It leads to over sexualization of their bodies and then sexism and misogyny.
My brother also plays soccer, and so do many men around the world, and they never ever have to deal with everyday sexism.
I have to tell the girls, just try and block it out the best that you can. It will come in and filter in every now and then, but you just got to try and pass it aside and block it out. But it sucks I've got to do that, because it should be the people that are delivering these sexist messages to girls and women in sport. It should be them that should just stop. And I say to the girls actually, who are your favourite players? Some of them say Hayley Rasso, Sam Kerr, Alessia Russo, and I say to them, they too have experienced a lot of sexist stuff in their lives, but they've come out on top. So if they can do it, you can do it too.
When people ask me what I'm interested in, I tell them basketball. And the most common response I get is someone saying, "Wow, is there actually a women's basketball league?" Or, "Wow, do people even come watch your games?"
In sport, feminism and masculinity. So feminism is the attributes attached to women, and they're not comparable to what we sort of see in mainstream sport. So masculine qualities of being tough, stoic, unrelenting are seen as qualities that we value in sport, and they're associated with men. For women, qualities of feminism are seen as nurturing, caring, highly over-emotional, and these are not seen as qualities that we value in sport. So this construction of man and woman in sport then leads us to value man in sport and devalue women in sport, which then creates this ideas in which we can trivialise women's participation, and one of that is through perpetuating acts of sexism towards them through objectifying things like their body.
I don't think they need that added pressure that they get from external things, whether it's school, other people they hear down the street. Social media is a big impact in women's sport. These young, inspiring athletes read this stuff and their confidence is already low. And then they come to trainings, game days, and they hear it on the sideline too, in person. And it just builds one on top of the other.
We're only upset about these comments because it's never about our skill, it's about our gender, and that's something that we can't change.
Just thinking about even the way in which we cover sport. So one of the common trends that we have covering women, not opposed to men, is we infantilise women. So infantilisation means that we shape women as young girls. So quite often when we see interviews happening, this happens with swimmers quite a lot, they go to their parents and they're like, "Oh, what did you think of your little girl out there?" Now, we don't say that. You'd never hear a commentator say this, or what did you think of your little boy out there?
When there's a game and there's an actual audience watching us, you can always hear a subtle snicker in the background. This isn't the case for boys' games, as we aren't getting the same respect as them.
I feel like every time I win an award or do a good achievement, I always get congratulated, but there's always a sly remark that if I was in the men's league, I wouldn't be able to do the same.
There needs to be an encouragement that young kids can see sport as sport. So we're watching football, we're not watching women's football or men's football. It's just normalised as sport, and women are normalised in that environment.
It's time.
To end.
Everyday
Sexism.